Welcome to Kitchen Basics 101, where I teach you the bare bone basics as if you've never cooked a day in your life from the perspective of a mom. Today, I'm going to make what has become basically my famous oatmeal cookies. I like them for breakfast, so I call them my breakfast cookies, and I make them on my channel all the time. You've seen me make them with chocolate chips. You've seen me make them with cranberries. You've seen me make them with dates. Today, we're gonna try them, not just any blueberries, wild blueberries, which are my favorite. These little teeny tiny wild blueberries. There's so much sweeter and so much more blueberry like punch in them. They're so good. This is a stick of Kerrygold that I left out overnight, and so it's nice and soft and ready to go because I pre-planned, which I don't always do, but I do have a video of how to soften your butter on my channel if you did not pre-plan, which I usually don't. There is some butter on the wrapper, so I'm just gonna take my spatula and scoop up as much of that butter as I can. One of the reasons I love a silicone spatula is it does, look at how much butter it rescued off of that wrapper. So we're putting our softened butter into our mixing bowl, and I'm just gonna swirl the butter around, mix the butter around for like a minute, 2 minutes to get it nice and light and fluffy before I add the sugar. Basically have the recipe memorized by now because I make it so much. So 2/3 of a cup of white sugar go in. So this is a 1/3 cup measurement. Brown sugar is 1 1/3 cup. So again, I just use the 1/3 cup measurement, and I do it 4 times. 3 times to make a cup and then 1/3. But you can do it however you like. I just don't want to dirty another utensil, so I try to use the same one the whole time. And when you do brown sugar, you want to compact it into the measuring cup so that it's full all the way while it's like smashed down, if that makes sense. Was that 3? I feel like that was 3. Let's rewatch the tape. Let that cream together, the sugar and the butter, for another minute or 2 while it gets nice and light and fluffy, which is the benefit of having a stand mixer. If you don't and you're doing it by hand, maybe not 2 minutes. While that's mixing, you can prep your dry ingredients. I stopped it so that you could hear what I was saying. So we're gonna use 2 cups of all-purpose flour. I buy the organic unbleached from Costco, but you can use any all-purpose flour you like. I use this method because this is how I like it. A scale is the most accurate way to measure flour, but if you just scoop it out of this bag, you're gonna have a tendency to get too much flour. So I like to use a spoon. I scoop it in. We're gonna do 2 cups, and I am going to sift it just to make it as light and fluffy as possible, but you do not have to sift it if you do not have a sifter, or you can use a whisk, or you can use like a regular like strainer to sift. I use salted butter, so I don't add any salt to this recipe. If you were using unsalted butter, I would add some salt here, maybe a 1/4 teaspoon of salt to your dry ingredients. I've got 2 cups of flour, and then we're gonna do a teaspoon of baking soda. These are a chewy cookie. Part of the reason that I want to do the dry ingredients first is I'm gonna use this teaspoon for vanilla, and I won't be able to use it for baking soda afterwards. That's just a little pre-planning on my part that I did the dry ingredients before I dirtied that. So I'm gonna sift it. Again, you don't have to. I just think it makes everything so light and fluffy. You're gonna get the dry ingredients prepared, and you're gonna set them aside because we're not quite ready to add them. Moving on to our batter, we're gonna add 2 eggs. Best if they're at room temperature, but if they're not, that's okay. I like to crack them into a measuring cup for ease of pouring them in, and so if it's a bad egg or I get a shell, I don't get it in my batter, right? Because I don't want it in my batter. And then you're gonna do 4-ish, you can measure with your heart, teaspoons of vanilla extract. Sometimes I use vanilla paste, which I actually really like, but I'm out of, and it's pretty pricey. So I've got this big old thing of vanilla extract, and we're gonna give this a good mix. Everything here looks beautifully incorporated, but I'm just gonna scrape down the sides to make sure it looks good. Now we're gonna add the flour little by little. I have the mixer on the lowest setting, the stir setting, and I just use my spoon and I put in like 1 tablespoon at a time, and it doesn't puff up in my face. It incorporates well. It doesn't get overmixed because you definitely don't want to overmix it. So this is just my method. You can do it however you like, okay? Just how I do it. And I know it seems like, oh my God, it's gonna take forever, but you just watch me do it. It really doesn't. It takes, I don't know, maybe a minute, and it's almost completely already incorporated when you use this method. And I'll do like this last little bit. I'll just tip the bowl up and pop it in there. Don't feel the need to get it completely mixed, because every step of the way we're gonna be mixing. These are the oats that I use. I love these sprouted rolled oats from Costco. Just, you know, a little bit healthier oats, but you can use any oatmeal you like. I don't like steel cut for this. These are flat oats. I don't know how well you can see. These are nice flat oats. So again, I'm going to add them to this batter, and you do 3 cups of oats. I'm gonna add a cup at a time to give it a chance, the mixer a chance to mix. If you're mixing by hand, this is probably getting a little bit difficult. This batter is thick, okay? So we're gonna do 3 cups of oats, and I always do, you know, heavy cups, because I really love oatmeal, and I think it's a great part. To tell you how much I love these wild blueberries from Trader Joe's. Now, I've never made it with the blueberries before, so we're going to be finding out together. I usually add about 2 cups of the raspberries, and this is an 8-ounce bag, but I just wanted to see, which should be a cup, so it should take 2 bags. But I just wanted to see like really how much that looks like. Like that's a dry measure cup, and this is a by weight measure cup. So I think I might not use the whole 2 bags, but maybe. So delicious. Let's pop these in here. Ended up using both bags because last time when I made them with the dates, I just felt like there wasn't enough dates. This is the bowl I dirtied with the dry ingredients, so I didn't dirty another bowl. I just transferred the dough to this bowl. I'm gonna put a lid on it. I'm gonna pop in the fridge for like 30-ish minutes, just so it can sort of firm up and take shape. And in the meanwhile, I'm going to get my parchment ready and my cookie sheets and preheat my oven to 375. Taking the batter out of the fridge, ended up being in there longer than I planned because I ended up making dinner, but that's okay. I use a pretty big scoop because I like them to be big. I eat them for breakfast. So I use a pretty big scooper, but I love a scooper. It just makes quick work of these. And I think I end up being able to fit a dozen on my extra large cookie sheet. So I think it's, yeah, I think I'm able to hold a dozen. So I'm gonna scoop them out. And then I'm gonna pop them in a 375-degree oven for about 9 minutes, somewhere between 8 and 10 minutes. I usually do 9 minutes. What it is they're gonna not look cooked. You're just gonna look for a little bit of browning around the edges, and they're not gonna be completely cooked in the middle, but you're gonna get them out and you're gonna let them cool, and that's how you keep them chewy, if you want them chewy. If you want them crispy, leave them in longer. Here's the dozen of them scooped out. Okay, the most important part of every video, this is how they look when they turn out. They stay really nice and soft, which is amazing if that's what you like. And chewy. Oh, I like the blueberry flavor. 10 out of 10 recommend.